We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
The Walt Disney Company is in the news again, but for all the wrong reasons. Has the Magic Kingdom's political attitude costed a future generation of customers? Well, that's what we're going to find out with author and podcaster, Mr. Jeff Charles. Thanks for coming back, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So tell me, has Disney, the corporation, has it done irreparable damage to its reputation?
You know, I don't know if I would go so far as to say it's irreparable. A lot of these things tend to blow over, but it definitely has hurt itself. Now, what I will say is that if they do push the agenda that was revealed by Christopher Rufo, then yeah, they will end up causing irreparable damage. People want their kids to watch Mickey Mouse or Goofy or Donald Duck. They don't want to be indoctrinated. They don't need to be preached at. Parents don't want that. So Disney would be wise to read the room here.
Yeah, I think reading the room here is probably a very key point, because it seems a lot of the support that Disney has for pushing this particular agenda of theirs, it's coming from people who are A, very political, B, quite young, but C, and this is the most important part, probably not that many are parents. What's your take on it?
No, I agree with that. I mean, it's a very small fringe. Even within its workforce, I mean, it was a small number of employees who were really pushing Disney to come out against the parental rights and education bill. The majority of employees weren't really pushing for that. And I'm sure a lot of them were members of the LGBTQ community and actually they were right. This was actually shown later that a lot of employees were pushing back on Disney doing this. And some of those were members of the LGBTQ community as well. So I don't think that this represents most people, regardless of sexual orientation, that they're pushing a fringe point of view, and they're basically kowtowing to a small but very loud minority here. But it could also be possible that some of their leadership are true believers in this as well, so they also want to push it. But I don't think that that's likely. I think that they're just making a bad decision here.
Now, the question for you, do you think they'll carry on making these, as you say, these bad decisions, or do you think that they will eventually feel the squeeze? Because I've noticed that people are stopping their subscriptions to Disney streaming channels, things like that. People are avoiding buying the products, the merchandise that goes along with seemingly every Disney production that comes out. There's associated merchandising, which I'm assuming is a large part of the revenue they get. And of course, the theme parks themselves. So people are basically voting with their wallets on this. How long do you think Disney will keep pushing along this particular path when their profits are suffering?
It's hard to tell. I've been thinking about this a lot, Mark. It's hard for me to get on my crystal ball on this, because it's really going to depend on how much it hurts them in their pocketbooks. I mean, the thing about Disney, because on the other side of that, Disney owns about everything that people love. I mean, are people going to stop going to see Star Wars? Are people going to not watch The Mandalorian when it comes out, or Kenobi when it comes out on Disney Plus? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to feel the pain enough. I mean, maybe at their theme parks they might, but when it comes to other properties they own, they might still be able to make enough money while still pushing this. But they also might think long term, maybe this will cause us to suffer if we keep pushing this. So maybe at this point, they'll keep it the way it is and not push it further like they were planning. But I think there's always going to be some element of it, because I do think that some of the people that work for Disney are believers and do want to push this ideology.
Now, Disney, it's an international company, of course. It's got theme parks all over the world. It sends its productions all over the world. And I think one thing that was quite notable that not many people are talking about is that a recent movie that Disney released, they issued another version of it in China because the Chinese censors didn't want, I believe it was reference to homosexuality within the production. And they were happy enough to issue that to China. So is it a case that their values as a company only run to the border and not beyond?
Yeah, well, see, that's where I think it would hit their pocketbook enough. I mean, because with China, they make a lot of money from China, so they're willing to bend for China. I'm not sure if the American consumer is going to hurt their pocketbooks as much as China does. But yeah, you see where their principles lie, right? I mean, it's really in profit. So I think they're trying to find a balance between pushing an agenda, but also still being able to make money. And yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy involved in that, and it's brazen, and there's not a whole lot of people who are calling it out.
And why do you think the people who support what Disney's doing don't seem to be talking about the fact that they're willing to sacrifice their principles overseas?
Because they don't have principles either. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, because the thing, that is an excellent question. So for Disney, you can kind of understand because money is involved. But for the activist crowd, for the politicians, for the media people, for the chattering class who are pushing Disney to go against this supposed "don't say gay" bill in quotations, they don't care that they can't say gay in China. They're not going to speak out at all because they don't. A lot of these people don't really believe what they say they believe.
Well, clearly these activists and advocates are all nationalists, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So one final question for you, Jeff, or one final topic that I'd like to delve into. It's Governor Ron DeSantis. He's seeking to cut special exemptions for Disney in Florida. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, because here's my thing with DeSantis. I think he's doing the right thing, but not necessarily for the right reasons. I'm a little concerned when I see somebody wanting to use the state to punish a corporation for expressing a viewpoint that they don't agree with. Now, I do think that he should be doing this because Disney shouldn't be having all these exemptions, and he should also be looking at other corporations in Florida for the same type of thing. And now, if he was using this as a springboard to doing that, then I'll celebrate it. But if he's just punishing Disney using the power of the state, I'm a little bit concerned about that. Like, I don't, that could take us down a road that we really don't want to go down.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of opposition to DeSantis' moves here by the same people that support Disney, but these tend to be by and large the same people who don't support any special exemptions for multi-billion-dollar companies. So again, it comes back to they have principles for one thing, but as Groucho Marx says, these are my principles. If you don't like them, I have others.
I think that sums up the state of American political discourse in 2022.
And on that note, Jeff Charles, thank you ever so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening to Liberty Nation Radio, heard across the Radio America network from our flagship station in the nation's capital, WWRC in Washington, D.C. Remember, you can tune in for Liberty Nation Radio on KSRM 920 AM and 92.5 FM out of Kenai, Alaska. Later on, we talk Liberty with Scott Cosenza. But up next, after this short break, we ask if everyone missed Vladimir Putin's real plans for Ukraine. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fight for freedom.
The tracking poll sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.